Welcome. This is James Corbett of the Corbett Report with your eye-opener report for BoilingFrogsPost.com. In this eye-opener series, we've been examining those organizations of influence that wield power over our countries from behind the scenes. Groups such as the Canadian Council of Chief Executives, the Zionist Organization of America, the Royal Institute of International Affairs, Common Purpose. We could go on to detail thousands of similar organizations working in similar ways to direct the processes of government from the shadows. The Club of Rome, the Pilgrim Society, the Bohemian Grove, the Knights of Malta, Le Cercle. The list is nearly inexhaustible. As we've seen so far in this series, many of these groups are public organizations that allow public scrutiny and even public participation. Others are openly acknowledged lobby groups that make no secret of their intention to direct government policy towards their own agenda. Still others are completely secretive, preferring to give out little or no details about their membership, activities, or intentions. In the first episode of this series, researcher and author G. Edward Griffin outlined that system of organization which unites these disparate groups. Known as rings within rings, the technique is to cultivate a core inner group which directs the policy and aims of the larger organization. In such a system, a large, seemingly public group like the Royal Institute of International Affairs can hold public forums and maintain a publicly accessible website, while still working towards the secretive goals of an inner clique that the group's larger membership may or may not even know exists. Although a relatively small percentage of the population knows, or indeed cares, about the specific groups that are directing their government from behind the scenes, a vast majority are aware that there is an insidious influence at work in the so-called system of democracy that has been sold to them. Election after election, the public goes to the polls hoping to kick the bums out and instead receives more of the same. Whether it be an endless series of wars against an all-pervasive, never-vanquished terrorist boogeyman, or an ever-increasing, inextinguishable mountain of debt racked up through bailout after bailout of the financial system, few are any longer under the illusion that their vote will do anything to seriously derail the drive toward increasing government corruption and tyranny. The end result is a steadily increasing feeling of cynicism and apathy that leads to disengagement. Who among us doesn't know someone who, when confronted by the startling abuses of power in our current day and age, merely shrugs, muttering some variation of the excuse that that's just how the system works? In direct contradiction to this attitude, however, there are a growing body of activists informed by the alternative media, united in their opposition to this drive toward global government, who are increasingly working on innovative ways to counter, sidestep, and undermine the influence of these secret societies and their inner cliques. After all is said and done, the problem is not one of finding a way to abolish the current status quo, but choosing from the hundreds of ideas that are already being worked out by similarly concerned individuals all around the world. One of those options has been suggested by G. Edward Griffin himself, to use the idea of infiltration and subversion that the secret societies have been using against our governments to our own ends. To this end, he has proposed the creation of a group called Freedom Force International, which aims to unite the public around the idea of placing freedom-minded individuals in the positions of power that are currently being occupied by the tyrants. When Griffin appeared on the Corbett Report in 2009, I had the chance to talk to him about Freedom Force and what he hopes to accomplish with this organization. You've been watching an excerpt of this week's Eye Opener Report. To continue watching the report, please log into BoilingFrogsPost.com.